Yes, sir.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is Bill Johnson, and first of all, I want to tell you how honored I am to be your representative in Congress. And I want you to know that I'm working to make our federal government in Washington more effective, more efficient, and more accountable to you, the hardworking, taxpaying American people, because I know that it's you, not Washington, that should decide the path that we take and the decisions that we make. We're going to be having some good discussion tonight, and I hope you'll get your questions ready. But before I go any further, I'd like to ask you a question. And if you would, please use your keypad and let me know what you think. Have you ever participated in one of these conference calls before? If you have, press 1 for yes. If you have not, press 2 for no. Have you ever participated in one of these telephone conference calls before? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. And if you would like to ask a question, press 0 on your keypad. That will place you into the question queue. You'll be able to ask your question, and then it'll get you right back into the call. Again, I want to thank you for joining me on this telephone town hall. It's a privilege for me to be able to speak with you about issues that are important and mean the most to you. I think many of you probably know a little bit about my background, but for those that don't, let me introduce myself a little bit. I was born and raised on the farm. In fact, we farmed with mules up until I was about 13 years old. I know that's crazy, but it actually happened. After high school, I joined the Air Force, spent nearly 26 and a half years on active duty in the United States Air Force, and then went into the private sector as a businessman before being sworn into Congress. I'm a husband, I'm a father of 4, and a grandfather of 5. And like many of you, I'm concerned about the future that my children and my grandchildren will face. And that's primarily why I ran for Congress. You know, America's at a crossroads, folks, when it comes to growing our economy and creating jobs and fundamentally changing the way Washington works. We need to promote economic security and opportunity, and this means getting government out of the way of what job creators do best, and that's creating jobs. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. If you want to ask a question, press 0 on your keypad. That'll put you into the question queue, and then you'll be able to get your question up and come right back into the call. A few minutes ago, I asked some of you a question, and I'd like to ask it again. Have you ever participated in one of these telephone conference calls before? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. You know, on this past Friday, the unemployment rate ticked up to 8.2%. That's going in the opposite direction, folks. We had just 69,000 jobs created last month. For the past 40 months, unemployment has been above 8%. And we've seen no real solutions from President Obama to put America back to work. To date, I have voted for, and the Republican-controlled House of Representatives has passed 30 bills that would create much-needed jobs right now. But unfortunately, the Democrat-controlled Senate continues to fail the American people by not even considering these bills. Not to mention that President Obama and Senate Democrats continually reject the Keystone XL pipeline. That's an energy project that will create jobs, lower energy prices, and take America one step closer to energy independence and get us out of the business of being beholden to foreign sources for our energy. And remember, the Senate of the United States has not passed a budget in nearly 3 years. You know, job creation is just one of the many important issues that I think are important to you. But I'm more interested in hearing from you. So we're going to go to your questions here in just a bit. If you'd like to ask a question about an issue, please press 0 on your phone. You'll get into the question queue, and then you'll be able to get right back into the call. Let's go to our first caller tonight, Edna down in Salem. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm the lady in the pink T-shirt in your last town hall meeting.
Oh.
Front row.
How are you?
children have had their hours cut from full-time down to 15 and 18 hours a week. And I love my children, but I wish they could take care of themselves more so. Why can't we bring back something like the PPA or the WPA?
Well, first of all, it's good to see you. It's good to hear from you, Edna, and I'm glad you called. As far as where the jobs are, I don't know if you realize this or not, but the state of Ohio has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the nation right now, and is leading the pack in terms of job creation. And this is primarily around the Marcellus and the Utica Shale. There is so much optimism. Everything from steel manufacturing, plumbers and pipe fitters going to work, construction work, drivers for these trucks that are needed to handle the oil and natural gas industry. I can tell you that I'm hearing a lot of optimism, but this optimism about job creation here in eastern and southeastern Ohio is happening in spite of the president's policies, not because of the president's policies. Remember, the president disapproved the Keystone XL pipeline, rejected that project, and just last year in 2011, drilling for our own natural resources on public lands, federal government lands, decreased by 11%. Any uptick that we are seeing in job creation is coming as a result of the spirit of the American people. Innovation, competition, and moving the ball forward. We need to be open for business again right here in America, and that's the kind of strategy that I'm pursuing. Those are the kinds of pieces of legislation that I'm pursuing. I hope that answered your question. But we got a lot of optimism and a lot of reason to be excited about what's happening here in eastern and southeastern Ohio. Hey, let me ask you that question one more time. For those of you who didn't get it earlier, have you ever participated in one of these conference calls before? Press 1 on your keypad for yes. Press 2 for no.